All right, everybody. Good morning. Excuse me. Good morning to you all. Welcome to Family Morning Sessions with yours truly, DMP Speaks. I am glad to be in front of you on this morning, this wonderful Wednesday morning. How are you all doing on today? My goodness gracious, it's a great day. Why am I saying it's a great day? It's a great day to be alive. God is great. He's worthy and worthy to be praised. Can I just testify for a moment? It is so amazing. Even when you go through things, you're not going through those things by yourself. Even when you're dealing with some family issues, you're not dealing with those things by yourself. You have someone that loves you unconditionally. There is no conditions when it comes to God. So I am glad to be here on today, and I hope you and your family are doing well. So let me introduce myself properly. My name is David M. Pinkston, but I go by the name of DMP Speaks. I am a speaker, soon to be author. I am a board certified Christian counselor, but I am a personal development coach for families. I want to help develop your family in the best way. Why? Because that's what God intended. That's what He wants. He wants the family to be put back together. If you go from Genesis even to Revelations, there's a lot of things that's in the family that a lot of families go through. And I want to shine a light on an area that your teen and or young adult might be dealing with. It's a strong possibility they might be dealing with these things. And what we want to talk about on this morning is, and I want you to share this session with someone. The topic is how to address teen emotional stress or struggles, excuse me. How to address teen emotional struggles. I need you to share this. It's going to be heavy for a few minutes because this is something that is overlooked. We talk about mental health more, but I don't think we talk about mental health enough when it comes to the emotional stability of some of our kids. Some of our kids are really fighting every day. They're fighting in school, they're fighting at home, they're fighting in college and a university. You might say, dang, they fight all the time. They're not fighting physically, they're not fighting with their fists. They're fighting with their minds. They're fighting with being who they are called to be and chosen to be. They're fighting against everything because it's not what you think. They're fighting so much emotional struggles. And sometimes when they're fighting emotional struggles, they start fighting with you. It's not always intentional, but because of the demand, if we can be honest, that we put on our kids, and it's not a bad demand all the time. It's just that you want your son or daughter or children, teen, young adult, to do and be their best, do their best and be their best. But if you have a son or daughter, a teen that is dealing with emotional struggles and they're not talking, sometimes it can come out in tears. Sometimes it can come out in frustration. Sometimes it can come out in yelling. Why? Why are they? Some of them are fighting back tears, like physical tears. Why are they fighting back these physical tears? Because guess what? Number one, they're dealing with a lot of pain inside. Just imagine for a moment, just imagine if you were a teen in these days, the pain to know you don't know who you are yet, the sorrow some of them feel because they're confused. And if they're not confused, they're trying to figure it out because there's a lot of confusion. A lot of times social media it's a blessing, but sometimes it can, if it's not used correctly, and if people are using it and abusing it, it can be very confusing because They'll tell you to be a certain way. They'll tell your child to be a certain way. And you're teaching them something else, something different, something that's going to help them. So you're fighting against that. They're fighting against the hatred of themselves. A lot of kids, a lot of youth that I work with, if I ask them, do you love yourself? You know what they'll say? They'll pause. They'll say, I guess I love myself. So there's an area, if they have to guess, there might have been one or two or 10 times they didn't really like themselves. They didn't really love themselves. So that leads into self-rejection. They've already been rejected by friends. They've been rejected maybe by parents. They might be rejected by friends. I'm just giving you examples, but they start to self-reject themselves because everybody else has rejected them. Sometimes there's manipulation in certain parents. Keyword certain, not all, but certain parents disassociating themselves from their families, isolating themselves from their families. Again, attacks from social media, their sexual identity. And again, like I said, rejection from others. All of these things take a vital place in your teen and young adult's mind. It might not be all that I talked about, but there are some things in there, some things I kind of left out on purpose just to let you know and just to remind you your teen or young adult is dealing with some issues. They are dealing with some pain. They are dealing with some things that can really make them feel that they are by themselves. Sometimes they might not even know where to turn to because they are isolated. They're bruised mentally and emotionally. A lot of times that comes out in anger. That comes out, I don't want to be bothered today. I don't want to talk about it today because they're trying to figure it out. And one thing I've learned as being a father figure and an uncle to my niece and being a father to my son, sometimes we can push unintentionally, but we can push our children so hard that we don't realize that we're placing so much pressure on them for our well-being. I didn't say in every situation, but some situations we can put so much pressure on them unintentionally, not to harm them, but we don't recognize that we are harming them in certain ways. Because I can be honest, sometimes I can be very tough, especially on my son. I could be tough because I want him to be the man that he's supposed to be. But sometimes I do have to realize he's still a kid. He's still learning. My niece is 23 and she's grown, but she's still growing. And when you think about it like that they're still growing, you always should have, and I'm going to make this very clear, you should always have an expectation for your kids. If you really love them the way that you do, any great parent, excellent parent wants wants their child to do well, want them to thrive and not just barely make it. Does that make sense? But sometimes we can put that pressure on them too much because we can put that pressure on them so much they don't know where to turn to. And I'm not just talking about they might turn to drugs and alcohol. That does happen. But the emotional state, they can be stuck in limbo. They can be stuck mentally. They can be stuck emotionally, not knowing what to do with their feelings. So sometimes when they're lashing out, they're just frustrated. When they're lashing out, they've been told one thing and you're telling them another. You're putting so much pressure on them again without knowing, or sometimes you do know. We have to be very careful with that. I haven't always made the best decisions when it came to the emotional stability of my son. Some of you have maybe not made the best decision when it comes to the emotional stability of your teen or young adult. But there's always an opportunity to change. Does that make sense? You're still living, you're still breathing because you're God has given you an opportunity to change yourself as an individual, but also change yourself as a parent to that teen or young adult. But we must address their problems. We got to be there for our teen and young adult more now than when they were a child or a baby, because this world will eat them up. I'm going to say it again. This world will eat them up if we don't instill the love and the compassion and the understanding, including I'm not leaving myself out. If we don't pay attention to these things, these emotional struggles, they're going to be an adult and they're going to still have these emotional struggles. That's why I'm talking about it today. You as a parent, you hate to see your child go through this. Any parent will hate to see their teen or young adult deal with emotional struggles. It's not a great thing to see. Some of you are up at night. If I could be honest, there's times that I've been up at night thinking about my son, making sure that he was good. Even when we made this transition to Georgia, if I could be honest and be a little vulnerable this morning, it was not easy for him. It was hard. He wasn't talking to us. And I'm gonna be honest, it hurt me deeply. Why did it hurt me? Because I know he was struggling, but I know I had to be strong. But in my personal time, in my personal prayer time, I said, Lord, that I might make the right decision. He's hurting right now. But I knew I had to stand on what God had told me for our family. And I'm starting to see the fruit. I'm starting to see the change. I'm starting to see the maturity in my son. I'm starting to see that this was God's intention. But I had to deal with the emotion that he was dealing with. You got to remind your teen or young adult, even when they're dealing with these emotional struggles, they're not dealing with these struggles by themselves. Let me say that again. They're not dealing with these emotional struggles by themselves, but you got to remind them, even you're dealing with these struggles, even though I want this more than you want it, I'm going to still help you because I love you. Deep depression is real. Anxiety is very real, but it's only real when you make it a priority and you make it real, that it overtakes your mind. When it overtakes your teen's mind, we got to help them get out of this deep depression, this deep anxiety. Some of you adults dealt with this as a child, and it just has been manifested through the bloodline more than just a generational curse. It's in the bloodline, and we have to be able to cut that piece of the bloodline off. We have to allow that to dissolve. We don't want them to go and seek out help somewhere else. If your teen feel like you're not a safe place for them, let me say that again. If your teen feels like you're not a safe place for them, they're going to go find a safe place. And I'm telling you, as a parent, I constantly work on myself emotionally and spiritually. Am I a safe place for my son? Am I a safe place, excuse me, for my niece as her father figure and uncle? Am I a safe place? Parents, are you a safe place for your teen or young adult to talk about those things? Because you have to be. You have to be a safe place. See, being a parent and being a safe space is two different things. Why is it two different things? Well, let's be honest, there's a lot of parents out there, right? There's a lot of families out there, a lot of fathers and mothers. Well, each sometimes, yeah, I'm gonna put it just like I was trying to say it a different way. You can be a parent and not be a safe place, a safe space, excuse me, a safe place to talk, a safe place to let their hair down or their beard down, right? And you can still be their parent and still love them, but you might not be a safe place for them. And I do my best to be a safe place. Yes, I do so much thing. I always want to make sure that my son knows that he can come to me about anything. Even if I'm a little tough on him, I know I had to make an adjustment. I'm still making adjustments because I'm still learning and you're still learning, right? Not to be judgmental, to ridicule them. So I want to give you a few things I really want you to focus on how to address these things. If you're ready, say you're ready in the comments because I believe that this is going to help. And I'm going to be done. Now, again, share this message with someone. First thing is allow the team to be vulnerable. Hear them out. Stop talking all the time. One thing I had to learn and still learning. Stop talking all the time. Let them talk. Let them talk. Let them get it out. Even if it's about you. I'm serious. Let them talk. It's an uncomfortable place to be in, but let them talk. Because you know why? Vulnerability is a gift. I'll say it again, vulnerability from your teen, man, that's the best feeling. When my son tells me something, he might have told somebody else or he told me first. I'm not gonna lie, I don't tell him all the time, but internally inside, I'm like, "Dang, he told me." I appreciate that. That makes it makes me feel great. It does. It makes me feel rich because vulnerability is a gift. Number two is being engaged and not distracted. I'm telling you, sometimes, and I used to do this, when my son or my niece is talking, I would have this on my phone. I'm listening to them because I was trying to do everything else I was doing and trying to talk and trying to listen, excuse me. Sometimes this is good, but it can be a distraction. This phone can be a distraction. Sometimes it's just good to put it down, face it down the other way, and be engaged. I'm gonna look right into the camera this morning. Be engaged. The next thing is be trustworthy. If they tell you something, don't bring it back into their face later or tell somebody else, unless it's life threatening, of course, or something that really, really needs to be talked about. But in that safe space, be trustworthy. The next thing is tell them it's okay to feel how they're feeling. We're not telling our teens or young adult, it is okay if you have pain. It's okay if you're not okay, but let them and remind them that you are there. It's okay to be feeling these feelings, but you're not going to feel these feelings by yourself. Also, let them know that there is help. There is help. They don't have to fight against whatever is harming them emotionally, psychologically. And the last thing is your willingness as a parent guardian to adjust your perception of their needs, that you adjust how you see what they're going through, that you're just not making assumptions, you're not judging them. You're looking at the situation with clear conscious clarity, right? And knowing that We're going to get through this. You're not just going to get through this. We're going to get through this together, because at the end of the day, when they know that you're there, when they're struggling, it makes you not even feel rich, be wealthy. Because the gift of vulnerability is real. Letting them know that it's okay to feel how they're feeling, being trustworthy, being a safe space, being engaged and not distracted, knowing that there's help for them and you're a part of that support and that help as their parent too. And that willingness to look at their issue from a different lens. So everybody, thank you so much for your time. I know I gave you a lot, but look at the replay. Share this message with a family member, a friend, a coworker, somebody at your church. Believe me, you'll be surprised what your teen might be dealing with. But guess what? They don't have to deal with it by themselves. There's a family out there that's dealing with these things with their teens by themselves. They're trying to figure out all these things by themselves, and you don't have to do it by yourself. You got me, the family coach, the personal development coach. I want to help you all come back together. I want to work on your relationship with your teen or young adult to make things so much better. Why? Because I believe every family, every teen, young adult deserves transformation. Let's do it together. Sign up today. Go to my social media platforms all over and sign up today. Don't be afraid. Take the step. Guys, I love you. Thank you for your time. Wasn't bad, right? I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow at 7:30 a.m. Be blessed, be safe, and let's continue to grow together. Peace.